Imagine waking up tomorrow and the internet, as you know it, has vanished. What would happen if the endless scroll of social media, the constant connectivity, the very fabric of our digital lives simply ceased to exist? This isn't a doomsday prophecy of servers crashing, but a deeper, more fundamental shift in the internet's nature, accessibility, and purpose. The question then becomes, why should you care? Such a radical transformation would be more than a mere technological inconvenience. It would be a profound psychological and philosophical earthquake, shaking the very foundations of our identities, relationships, and understanding of reality. The speed and scope of this potential end set it apart from previous technological shifts, demanding a new framework for understanding its impact. We are not simply talking about an upgrade to the latest operating system. We are contemplating a complete reimagining of our digital existence. History is replete with technological revolutions that initially promised utopia, but ultimately unveiled unforeseen challenges. Consider the printing press, once hailed as a tool for democratizing knowledge, which also fueled religious wars and the spread of propaganda. Or the Industrial Revolution, which, while increasing productivity exponentially, led to widespread pollution, labor exploitation, and social upheaval. These examples serve as crucial reminders that technological progress is rarely a one-way street and often comes with a complex web of consequences. The internet was initially celebrated as a force for global connection, democratizing information and empowering individuals. However, the initial optimism has given way to growing concerns about misinformation, political polarization, digital addiction, and the erosion of online privacy. The average user now spends an astonishing amount of time online, with some studies estimating over 7 hours per day spent staring at screens. This begs the question, is the internet truly connecting us, or is it creating a hyper-connected world that is paradoxically isolating? The potential end of the internet, as we know it, is therefore more than just a technological problem. It represents a multifaceted crisis of connection, where superficial online relationships often overshadow genuine human bonds, a crisis of identity, where the pressure to curate a perfect online persona fragments our sense of self, and a crisis of meaning, where hyperreal simulations threaten to eclipse grounded, authentic purpose. The rise of sophisticated AI systems, capable of generating increasingly realistic but ultimately artificial content, further complicates this landscape. The changing nature of the internet has the potential to reshape society on a fundamental level, altering the ways in which we communicate, learn, work, and even govern ourselves. The increasing reliance on AI-driven systems in various aspects of our lives, from healthcare to finance, could introduce new social and ethical dilemmas that we are only beginning to grapple with. How do we ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability in a world increasingly shaped by algorithms? Navigating this potential shift demands a new understanding of technology and its profound psychological impact, as well as a deeper understanding of ourselves and our fundamental human needs. The blurring lines between the physical and digital world force us to confront questions about what it means to be human in an age of artificial intelligence and virtual realities. The development of technologies like Neuralink, which seek to directly interface the human brain with computers, presents unprecedented challenges and opportunities. Throughout this exploration, we will emphasize the crucial importance of authenticity in a digital world increasingly saturated with simulations and manufactured realities. We'll delve into the necessity of inner work to cultivate self-awareness, resilience, and a strong sense of personal values. And we will highlight the indispensable value of embodied experience as a grounding force, reminding us of the importance of engaging with the physical world through our senses. We will also explore the role of active imagination, a concept popularized by Carl Jung, as a means of filling the void technology creates in our internal world, encouraging a deeper connection with our inner selves. To fully grasp the significance of this potential end, we must briefly trace the evolution of the Internet, from its early days as a niche network for researchers to its current status as a ubiquitous global platform. Pioneers like Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn envisioned a decentralized, open network that would foster collaboration and innovation. However, the Internet's trajectory has diverged significantly from these initial ideals, leading to a more centralized and commercially driven landscape dominated by a handful of powerful corporations. Central to this discussion is the concept of simulacra and simulation, as articulated by the philosopher Jean Baudrillard. Baudrillard argued that our society has become so saturated with images and representations that these simulations have begun to replace the real. The Internet, with its idealized social media profiles, digitally altered images, and carefully curated online experiences, exemplifies this phenomenon. It is becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between what is real and what is merely a hyper-real simulation. We will also examine the erosion of identity through the lens of Jungian psychology, exploring how the Internet's performative culture can fragment our sense of self. Jung's concepts of the persona, the social mask we present to the world, and the shadow, the repressed aspects of our personality, provide a framework for understanding how the Internet can hinder genuine self-discovery. The pressure to conform to online trends and the constant exposure to curated content can lead to a disconnect between our authentic selves and the personas we project online. Moreover, Jung's concept of the collective unconscious connects us to recurring patterns of human behavior which also apply to our use of the Internet. Ultimately, we will underscore the fundamental human need for genuine experiences, meaningful relationships, and a connection to something beyond the digital realm. Cultivating inner resources, practicing self-awareness, and prioritizing embodied experiences are crucial for navigating the ever-shifting Internet landscape. These practices can help us reclaim our authenticity and resist the homogenizing forces of digital culture. As we delve deeper into this topic, consider these initial questions. What happens to our identities when the digital world undergoes a metamorphosis? How are our relationships affected when online interactions become increasingly superficial and mediated by algorithms? And what are the ethical implications of AI systems that are capable of influencing human relationships and shaping our perceptions of reality? Something fundamental is shifting beneath the surface of our online lives, creating a palpable sense of unease and uncertainty. We see this in the rise of digital amnesia, where we increasingly rely on the Internet to remember information for us, and in the alarming rates of loneliness and social isolation, despite being more connected than ever before. These are just a few of the signs that something is amiss. By exploring recurring archetypes in digital culture, such as the troll who thrives on Discord and the influencer who seeks validation through likes and followers, and by drawing parallels between the current Internet landscape and past technological disruptions, such as the Luddite movement's resistance to industrialization, we can begin to discern patterns and gain valuable insights. We will explore practical strategies that you can implement to cultivate authenticity, meaning, and connection in an increasingly digital world, ranging from mindfulness practices and digital minimalism to intentional community building and the pursuit of embodied experiences. The journey to navigate this changing landscape starts now. Is the Internet creating a world where the real is increasingly difficult to distinguish from the simulated? Jean Baudrillard, a French philosopher, argued that modern society has entered an era of hyperreality, where the constant proliferation of signs and symbols has created simulations that are more real than real. This concept of simulacra is central to understanding the psychological impact of a potentially changing Internet. The Internet, saturated with carefully curated content, idealized personas, and digitally altered images, serves as a prime example of this hyperreality. Consider the influencer who presents a meticulously crafted version of their life, often indistinguishable from a commercial advertisement. Or the rise of AI-generated content, where algorithms can create convincing but ultimately fabricated news articles, images, and even videos. In such a landscape, how can we be sure of what is authentic? This constant bombardment of simulations leads to a crisis of meaning, where individuals lose touch with genuine experience and become trapped in a world of manufactured representations. When the map becomes more compelling than the territory, what is left to ground us? This detachment from reality can result in existential angst, a profound sense of alienation, and the feeling that life has become a hollow performance. We begin to question our own experiences, wondering if they are truly authentic or merely reflections of the simulations we have consumed. The very act of living becomes a performance in itself, as we strive to measure up to the unattainable standards set by the hyperreal world. The promise of technology was to make our lives more efficient, but what happens when that efficiency comes at the cost of our sense of self? The echo chamber effect, amplified by algorithms and filter bubbles, exacerbates this simulacra-driven crisis. Social media platforms, designed to maximize engagement, often prioritize content that confirms our existing beliefs, creating insular communities where dissenting opinions are silenced or dismissed. This constant reinforcement of our biases shapes our perception of reality, making it increasingly difficult to engage in constructive dialogue with those who hold different views. We become trapped in a self-affirming loop, where our understanding of the world is shaped by the very algorithms that are designed to cater to our preferences. The tension escalates as we venture into the uncanny valley of online experience, where simulations become so realistic that they trigger feelings of unease and alienation. We may find ourselves interacting with our iPod chatbots that are almost indistinguishable from humans, or watching digitally altered videos that blur the line between reality and fiction. This can create a deep disconnect, a sense that something is fundamentally wrong with the world around us. To further unravel this intricate dynamic, we can turn to Carl Jung's concepts of the persona and the shadow. Baudrillard's Simulacra finds a compelling parallel in Jung's theory of the persona, the social mask we wear to navigate the world. Online simulations often encourage the construction of idealized personas, carefully curated representations that are often detached from our authentic selves. Social media profiles become stages for performing an aspirational identity, showcasing our best moments and hiding our flaws. But what happens when the mask becomes more real than the face? When the persona consumes our sense of self, we become alienated from our true nature, leading to feelings of emptiness and inauthenticity. The internet's performative culture can also lead to identity fragmentation, as individuals create and maintain multiple online personas across different platforms. On one platform, we may present ourselves as a savvy professional. On another, as a carefree traveler, and on yet another, as a passionate activist. Managing these various identities can be psychologically taxing, creating a sense of inner conflict and confusion. Are we truly expressing ourselves, or are we simply playing roles dictated by the algorithms and social pressures of the online world? This multiplicity of selves can make it difficult to develop a coherent sense of identity, leaving us feeling lost and adrift in a sea of virtual personas. The shadow aspects of the self, the repressed emotions and instincts that we often disown, can also manifest in destructive ways in online spaces. Trolling, cyberbullying, and the spread of misinformation are all examples of how our shadow selves can be projected onto others, creating a toxic digital environment. The anonymity of the internet can embolden individuals to engage in behaviors that they would never consider in the physical world, unleashing their repressed anger, envy, and aggression. This leads to a further loss of authentic connection. The relentless pursuit of simulated selves and superficial interactions online takes a toll, fostering a profound sense of loneliness and isolation, even in the midst of hyperconnectivity. Statistics on rising loneliness rates among young adults paint a stark picture of this reality. The very tools that were designed to bring us closer together are paradoxically driving us apart, creating a society of isolated individuals who are starved for genuine human connection. Is there a different way? To find a path forward, we can learn from the past. Throughout history, technological disruptions have been accompanied by both utopian visions and unforeseen challenges. The printing press, for instance, while democratizing knowledge, also fueled religious wars and the spread of misinformation. The Industrial Revolution, while increasing productivity, led to widespread pollution and labor exploitation. These historical case studies remind us that technological progress is rarely a linear process and often involves a complex interplay of positive and negative consequences. There will always be those who resist change, and while it is easy to dismiss their concerns, we need to address those concerns seriously. It would be a fallacy to assume that resistance to technological change is always misguided, as real concerns often accompany technological advancements. The social and economic dislocations caused by automation and AI, for example, raise legitimate questions about the future of work and the distribution of wealth. Are we prepared for a world where machines can perform many of the tasks that are currently done by humans? How will we ensure that everyone has access to meaningful work and a decent standard of living in such a world? Theodore Kaczynski, infamously known as the Unabomber, issued stark warnings about the dangers of technology, arguing that it inevitably leads to a loss of freedom and autonomy. While his methods were undeniably extreme, his critique of technological society raises important questions that we cannot afford to ignore. By contrast, Marshall McLuhan, a media theorist, offered a more optimistic view of technology, suggesting that it could expand human consciousness and foster global understanding. McLuhan believed that technology could serve as an extension of our senses, allowing us to experience the world in new and profound ways. While both thinkers offer unique perspectives on the role of technology in society, it's important to consider their long-term impacts. What aspects of Kaczynski's warnings have come true? Likewise, what predictions of McLuhan have been realized? Examining these historical parallels reveals a recurring cycle of idealization and disillusionment that often accompanies technological revolutions. Initially, new technologies are hailed as utopian solutions to all of our problems. However, as these technologies become more widespread, their unintended consequences become apparent, leading to a period of disillusionment and anxiety. Specific examples of this pattern are the Internet itself, which was once seen as a tool for liberation, but is now associated with censorship and control, and social media, which was initially celebrated for its ability to connect people, but is now blamed for its role in spreading misinformation and fostering social division. We can now explore an idea that is both incredibly important and potentially transformative. Technology, including the Internet, is an extension of ourselves, reflecting both our conscious intentions and our unconscious desires and fears. The Internet's shadow aspects, addiction, manipulation, polarization, are reflections of our own collective shadow. This collective shadow can be understood using Jung's theories. Why are we often drawn to negative content online? Is it because we need catharsis, or is it due to a desire for validation or the addictive nature of outrage? The algorithms that drive social media platforms often amplify these tendencies, creating a vicious cycle of negativity and division. The perceived end of the Internet, as we know it, represents a confrontation with technology's shadow, creating an opportunity to acknowledge and integrate these darker aspects. By facing our shadow, we can begin to create a more conscious, ethical, and human-centered digital culture. What if this allows us to move toward integration? By confronting technology's shadow, we can create a more conscious, ethical, and human-centered digital culture. This requires a commitment to self-awareness, critical thinking, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. It also requires us to design technologies that are aligned with our values and that promote human flourishing rather than exploitation and division. What inner resources can we rely on? In a world dominated by external stimuli, cultivating inner resources and self-awareness becomes essential. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and solitude offer antidotes to the distractions and pressures of the digital world. These practices can help us to reconnect with our inner selves, to cultivate a sense of peace and equanimity, and to develop a stronger sense of purpose and meaning. Jung's concept of active imagination can help us fill the voids that technology creates in our internal worlds. Through active imagination, we can engage in a dialogue with our unconscious, exploring our dreams, fantasies, and intuitions. This process can lead to profound insights and a deeper understanding of ourselves. It can also help us to develop our creativity, our capacity for empathy, and our ability to find meaning in our lives, especially if technology is consuming our lives. The power of embodied experience is another element for us to embrace. Engaging with the physical world through art, nature, and genuine human connection is transformative. It urges us to prioritize experiences that activate our senses and ground us in the present moment. Instead of living vicariously through screens, we can rediscover the joy of direct, unmediated experience. By immersing ourselves in the beauty of nature, by creating and appreciating art, and by connecting with others in meaningful ways, we can reclaim our sense of aliveness and purpose. There are practical steps we can take to cultivate authenticity and meaning in our own lives, such as practicing digital minimalism, intentionally curating our online experiences, and prioritizing face-to-face interactions. Digital minimalism involves decluttering our digital lives, reducing our screen time, and being more intentional about the technologies we use. Intentionally curating our online experiences involves being selective about the content we consume and the people we interact with, seeking out sources of inspiration and support, and avoiding those that trigger negativity or anxiety. Prioritizing face-to-face interactions involves making an effort to connect with others in person, engaging in meaningful conversations, and building strong, supportive relationships. For example, one could intentionally leave their phone at home when going for a walk, deleting unused social media apps, or scheduling regular offline activities with friends and family. We can now consider a new digital landscape. As we've explored, the core themes are authenticity, inner work, and embodied experience. Cultivating genuine human connection in a digital world is also extremely important. Authenticity involves being true to oneself, expressing one's thoughts and feelings honestly, and living in alignment with one's values. Inner work involves cultivating self-awareness, managing one's emotions, and developing a strong sense of purpose. Embodied experience involves engaging with the physical world through one's senses, connecting with nature, and participating in activities that promote physical and mental well-being. Perhaps the end of the internet could intentionally design digital spaces that foster true connection, personal growth, and social good. Examples of alternative online communities and platforms that prioritize these values include decentralized social networks, collaborative knowledge platforms, and online communities focused on personal development and social activism. Viewers have several actions they can personally take to improve themselves and society. They can be more mindful of their online habits, seeking out content that is informative, inspiring, and uplifting. They can support ethical and responsible technology companies that prioritize user privacy and data security. They can advocate for policies that promote digital literacy, media transparency, and net neutrality. By taking these steps, we can collectively shape the future of the internet and create a digital world that is more aligned with our highest human needs. What will you do? The actions you choose to take will decide if the internet becomes a tool of destruction or a tool of enlightenment. There is, however, a psychological opportunity hidden within this shift. Let's explore a concept from Greek mythology, katabasis. Katabasis refers to the heroic descent into the underworld, a journey undertaken by figures like Odysseus, Orpheus, and Aeneas. These heroes ventured into the realm of death and darkness to confront their fears, gain wisdom, and ultimately return transformed. What if technology's shadow forces a similar psychological katabasis upon us? Could the end of the internet, as we know it, represent a symbolic death of an old self, a necessary prelude to rebirth and growth? The current state of the internet, with its pervasive misinformation, addictive platforms, and rampant polarization, can be framed as a kind of underworld we must navigate. We can no longer afford to ignore this digital underworld. We must confront our technological demons head-on. Social media addiction, for instance, traps users in endless cycles of scrolling and validation seeking, while cyberbullying inflicts emotional wounds that can have lasting consequences. These are the trials and tribulations of our digital age, and we must find ways to overcome them. This death of the old internet, accompanied by the rise of shadow issues, presents a unique opportunity for renewal. It is a chance to shed outdated beliefs, challenge harmful patterns, and embrace a more conscious and ethical way of interacting with technology. Just as the heroes of myth emerged from the underworld with newfound knowledge and strength, we too can emerge from this digital katabasis transformed. How can this happen? We can extend the pattern of the hero's journey to the digital realm, recognizing that we must confront our dragons, our fears, anxieties, and shadow aspects in order to emerge transformed. These dragons may take the form of echo chambers that reinforce our biases, algorithmic manipulation that exploits our vulnerabilities, or the relentless pressure to conform to unrealistic online standards. By facing these challenges with courage and self-awareness, we can break free from their grip and reclaim our agency. To integrate the shadow will require a collective effort. Technology, as we've discussed, acts as a mirror, reflecting our collective shadow. The internet's problems are not solely technological. They stem from our own unconscious tendencies and unresolved conflicts. Digital addiction, for instance, is not simply a matter of faulty programming. It is rooted in our own desires for escapism, validation, and instant gratification. Similarly, the use of the internet for nefarious purposes, such as spreading misinformation or inciting violence, reflects the darker aspects of human nature. Recognizing this is the first step toward taking responsibility for our digital world. The internet also facilitates projection, allowing us to project our shadow aspects onto others online, leading to polarization, demonization, and the erosion of empathy. We see this in political polarization on social media, where opposing viewpoints are often caricatured and vilified, and in the formation of online hate groups, where individuals find validation for their prejudices and resentments. This projection creates a climate of animosity and distrust, making it increasingly difficult to engage in constructive dialogue and find common ground. Taking responsibility for our own digital behavior and recognizing our complicity in the internet's problems is essential. This can involve challenging our own biases, being more mindful of the content we consume and share, and refusing to participate in online shamming or harassment. Facing one's shadow, while difficult, can lead to personal transformation and a more ethical online presence. Consider the example of someone who recognizes their tendency to engage in online arguments. By acknowledging this pattern and consciously choosing to disengage from unproductive debates, they can create a more positive and constructive online experience for themselves and others. Individual shadow work can have a ripple effect, contributing to a more conscious and compassionate online culture. Simple actions, such as calling out cyberbullying or promoting media literacy, can make a significant difference. An individual posting a well-researched article debunking a conspiracy theory, or a group of friends organizing an online discussion to promote empathy and understanding are examples. individual actions can indeed have a positive impact on society as a whole, transforming our digital society for the better. This, however, requires the ability to navigate the digital world. We can use the labyrinth as a metaphor for the complex and often deceptive information landscape of the internet. The labyrinth, with its twisting paths and hidden dead ends, represents the challenges of navigating a world saturated with misinformation, disinformation, and manipulation. Emphasizing the need for critical thinking skills becomes paramount to avoid getting lost in this labyrinth. How do we find our way? The internet is awash in misinformation, from conspiracy theories to fake news to misleading advertisements. These deceptive narratives can distort our understanding of the world, influence our beliefs and behaviors, and even incite violence. Consider the spread of false claims about vaccines, which have led to a decline in vaccination rates and outbreaks of preventable diseases. Or the use of social media to spread propaganda and interfere in elections. These are just a few examples of the dangers of misinformation in the digital age. Adding to this confusion, common cognitive biases can distort our thinking and make us vulnerable to manipulation online. Confirmation bias, for instance, leads us to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, while the availability heuristic causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled. These biases can create invisible walls in the labyrinth, trapping us in echo chambers and preventing us from seeing the world clearly. Media literacy acts as the thread of Ariadne that can guide us through the labyrinth, enabling us to distinguish between credible sources and disinformation. Fact-checking, source verification, and critical analysis of online content are essential skills for navigating the digital world. By learning how to evaluate online information, we can avoid falling prey to manipulation and make more informed decisions. Consider the example of someone who encounters a sensational news article online. By taking the time to check the source, verify the claims, and consider alternative perspectives, they can determine whether the article is credible or simply a piece of propaganda. Are these manipulations new? These challenges of disinformation and manipulation are not new. They echo historical examples of propaganda and censorship, demonstrating that these are recurring patterns in human history. Nazi propaganda, for example, skillfully used misinformation and emotional appeals to manipulate public opinion and justify the persecution of minorities. Soviet censorship suppressed dissenting voices and controlled the flow of information to maintain its grip on power. These historical examples remind us that the struggle for truth and freedom is an ongoing one, and that we must remain vigilant against those who seek to control the narrative. With truth in hand, we can then ask the big existential questions. The existential implications of technology are profound, and it has led some to believe that technology's constant distractions and simulations can create a sense of meaninglessness and detachment from our true purpose. This resonates with Nietzsche's concept of nihilism, the belief that life is without objective meaning, purpose, or intrinsic value. If we are constantly bombarded with external stimuli and superficial interactions, how can we connect with our inner selves and discover what truly matters to us? We can seek intrinsic motivation and pursue activities that align with our values and passions, rather than seeking external validation or succumbing to algorithmic manipulation. These activities could include creative pursuits such as writing, painting, or music, learning new skills such as coding or a foreign language, or engaging in meaningful relationships such as volunteering or mentoring others. By focusing on what truly matters to us, we can reclaim our sense of purpose and agency. What truly matters to you? Reconnecting with nature as a grounding force and a source of meaning and inspiration is a path to resist the meaninglessness of the machine. Spending time in nature can reduce stress, improve mental well-being, and foster a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. Whether it's hiking in the mountains, swimming in the ocean, or simply sitting in a park, nature offers a respite from the noise and distractions of the digital world. In the embrace of nature, you may find your purpose. We must reclaim our agency and ensure that technology serves our human needs and values, rather than the other way around. Allowing technology to control our lives can lead to social isolation, loss of creativity, and erosion of democracy. By taking control of our relationship with technology, we can create a future where it empowers us to live more fulfilling and meaningful lives. In this way, technology remains a tool for empowerment, not a master. But can online interactions truly be meaningful? Despite its shadow, the internet does have a place in our lives. It is important to acknowledge that it is limited in its ability to foster genuine human connection. The tendency towards superficiality, the lack of non-verbal cues, and the potential for anonymity and deception can all hinder the development of meaningful relationships online. While online interactions can be valuable, they cannot fully replace the richness and complexity of face-to-face connection. The work of anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests a limit to the number of meaningful relationships a person can maintain, often cited as Dunbar's number, which typically falls around 150. Online relationships frequently lack the depth and intimacy that characterize real-world connections, potentially leading to feelings of isolation despite being constantly connected. This is where intentional communities can help to foster meaningful relationships. Building intentional communities, both online and offline, that prioritize genuine interaction, empathy, and shared values is vital. These communities can provide spaces for individuals to connect on a deeper level, to share their experiences and perspectives, and to support one another in their personal growth. Successful intentional communities are guided by principles such as active listening, respectful communication, and a commitment to creating a safe and inclusive environment. It is in spaces like this that true connection can be formed. But are the current platforms capable of fostering such spaces? Alternative online platforms are emerging that are designed to foster human connection and ethical behavior, rather than maximizing engagement or profit. These platforms often prioritize user privacy, data security, and community governance. Features that distinguish these platforms from mainstream social media include decentralized architectures, entoned encryption, and community-based moderation systems. For example, some platforms are experimenting with new economic models that reward users for creating and curating high-quality content, rather than simply generating clicks and likes. We return to the pattern of technological disruption and the recurring choice between dystopian and utopian futures. The future of the internet depends on our collective decisions and our willingness to prioritize human values over technological imperatives. Will we allow technology to divide us, to manipulate us, and to erode our sense of self? Or will we harness its power to connect us, to empower us, and to create a more just and sustainable world? The choice, as always, is ours. What will you choose? The choice, as always, is ours. What will you choose? As the digital landscape evolves, one path forward involves strategically minimizing its influence in our lives through digital minimalism. The core of this practice is reclaiming your attention and time. In today's digital age, attention has become a highly sought-after commodity. Online platforms are designed to capture and hold our attention, often exploiting our psychological vulnerabilities for profit. Tristan Harris, a former Google design ethicist, has spoken extensively about the attention economy and how persuasive design techniques are used to keep us hooked on our devices. Social media feeds, for example, are intentionally designed to be addictive, with endless scrolling, notifications, and personalized content that triggers our reward centers. These algorithms are finely tuned to exploit our innate desires for social connection, novelty, and validation, leading us to spend countless hours online, often at the expense of our well-being. Email marketing campaigns have become extremely sophisticated, with companies leveraging data analytics and psychological triggers to craft messages that grab our attention and compel us to click. Push notifications, designed to provide timely updates and reminders, can easily become a source of constant distraction, interrupting our focus and fragmenting our attention spans. Consider how the average smartphone user receives dozens, if not hundreds, of notifications each day, each one vying for a moment of their attention. Recognizing the economic forces at play and the manipulative designs that are engineered to exploit our attention is the first step in reclaiming control of our digital lives. A practical response to this reality is digital decluttering. Digital decluttering involves intentionally removing unnecessary digital distractions from your life, creating space for more meaningful activities and experiences. Start by unsubscribing from unwanted emails. Most of us are inundated with promotional emails, newsletters, and other messages that clutter our inboxes and steal our attention. Take the time to unsubscribe from these lists or use a service like Unroll Me to consolidate them into a single daily digest. Next, unfollow accounts that trigger negative emotions. Social media feeds can be filled with content that makes us feel anxious, jealous, or inadequate. Identify accounts that consistently trigger these emotions and unfollow them. This could include influencers who promote unrealistic lifestyles, news sources that focus on sensationalism, or friends who constantly complain or post negative updates. Finally, delete apps that are no longer serving a purpose. Many of us have apps on our phones that we rarely use, but that still consumes storage space and send notifications. Take stock of the apps you have installed and delete those that are no longer serving a purpose in your life. You may be surprised at how much mental space you free up by decluttering your digital devices. Once you've eliminated the digital clutter, embrace the newfound boredom. Boredom, often perceived as a negative state to be avoided, is actually an opportunity for creativity, introspection, and self-discovery. In our hyper-connected world, we have become accustomed to constant stimulation, filling every moment with digital distractions. But when we allow ourselves to experience boredom, we create space for our minds to wander, to make new connections, and to generate novel ideas. Practices like meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature without digital devices can help you reconnect with your inner world and cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness. Meditation allows you to quiet the constant stream of thoughts and emotions, creating space for insights and intuition to emerge. Journaling provides a way to explore your thoughts and feelings in a non-judgmental way, helping you to identify patterns, process emotions, and gain clarity. Spending time in nature, away from the distractions of technology, can be deeply grounding and restorative, allowing you to reconnect with your senses and find inspiration in the natural world. Beyond efficiency, there is depth. Digital minimalism is not just about saving time or maximizing productivity. It's about cultivating depth and meaning in our lives. By freeing ourselves from digital distractions, we can create space for more meaningful experiences, such as hobbies, creative pursuits, and deep conversations. Engaging in hobbies that you enjoy can provide a sense of flow and purpose, helping you to connect with your passions and express your creativity. Creative pursuits, such as writing, painting, or music, allow you to tap into your inner world and communicate your unique perspective. Deep conversations with loved ones, free from the distractions of technology, can strengthen your relationships and provide a sense of connection and belonging. Digital minimalism, in this context, becomes a tool for reclaiming your time and attention so that you can invest them in the things that truly matter to you, leading you to live a more fulfilling and authentic life. From these intentionally curated personal lives, the next logical step is creating intentional online communities. The limitations of mass media and large online platforms often lead to anonymity, superficiality, and the spread of misinformation, undermining trust and eroding genuine connection. Online echo chambers, where individuals are primarily exposed to information and perspectives that reinforce their existing beliefs, can lead to polarization and extremism. Cyberbullying, fueled by anonymity and the lack of social cues, can have devastating consequences for victims. The scale and complexity of these platforms make it difficult to moderate content effectively, allowing misinformation and harmful content to spread rapidly. In contrast, intentional online communities can provide spaces for authentic connection and meaningful interaction. But what exactly is an intentional community? An intentional online community is a group of people who come together around shared values, clear purpose, and a commitment to ethical behavior. These communities are often smaller and more focused than large social media platforms, allowing for deeper connections and more meaningful interactions. The principles of community building, such as active listening, respectful communication, and conflict resolution, are essential for creating a positive and supportive environment. Online support groups, for example, can provide a safe space for individuals to share their experiences and receive support from others who understand what they are going through. Shared interest communities, centered around hobbies, passions, or professional fields, can facilitate learning, collaboration, and networking. Decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, using blockchain technology to create transparent and democratic governance structures, are emerging as a new form of intentional community, allowing individuals to collectively manage resources and make decisions. Designing such online communities requires intention. Designing and moderating online communities to foster authentic connection and prevent toxic behavior requires careful planning and consistent effort. Establishing clear community guidelines that outline acceptable behavior and consequences for violations is essential. Promoting respectful communication by encouraging active listening, empathy, and constructive feedback can help create a positive and supportive environment. Actively moderating content to remove harmful or inappropriate material and to address conflicts or disputes is crucial for maintaining a healthy community dynamic. The future of the internet may depend on these small communities. The end of the internet, as we know it, could lead to the emergence of a new digital ecosystem comprised of smaller, more intentional online communities that prioritize human connection and well-being. Decentralized social networks, built on blockchain technology, offer users greater control over their data and content, while also fostering community governance and peer-to-peer interaction. Platform cooperatives, owned and controlled by their members, are emerging as an alternative to traditional social media companies, prioritizing the needs of their users over profit maximization. These new digital ecosystems have the potential to shift the focus from mass media and superficial engagement to meaningful interaction and authentic connection, creating a more human-centered and equitable digital world. However, these online communities must be grounded in the physical world. Technology can contribute to a sense of disembodiment as we spend increasing amounts of time interacting with screens and neglecting our physical senses. The constant stimulation of digital devices can overwhelm our senses, leading to a diminished awareness of our bodies and our surroundings. The sedentary nature of much of our digital activity can contribute to physical discomfort, pain, and chronic health problems. The psychological consequences of this disconnect can include increased anxiety, stress, and a diminished sense of self. Reclaiming the senses is key. Reclaiming our senses and reconnecting with the physical world can be achieved through embodied experiences, such as mindful movement, sensory awareness exercises, and spending time in nature. Mindful movement practices, such as yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong, can help us to become more aware of our bodies, our breath, and our movements, fostering a sense of presence and grounding. Sensory awareness exercises, such as focusing on the sensations of touch, taste, smell, sight, and sound, can sharpen our perception and deepen our connection to the present moment. Spending time in nature, away from the distractions of technology, can be deeply restorative, allowing us to reconnect with our senses and find solace in the natural world. the most important thing is to move. Art and creative expression can foster embodiment and connect with our emotions and experiences. Engaging in creative activities, such as painting, sculpting, music, dance, and writing, can allow us to express ourselves, process emotions, and connect with our inner world. Art can provide a way to access and integrate aspects of ourselves that may be repressed or unconscious, fostering greater self-awareness and wholeness. Art can be a powerful tool for healing, transformation, and self-discovery. How can we bring it all together? By reconnecting with our bodies and senses, we can cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness, presence, and purpose. Embodied experiences are an essential component of a holistic approach to well-being, complementing inner work, authentic connection, and ethical online engagement. Reconnecting with our bodies also allows for more effective shadow work, as we can literally feel the sources of our psychological issues, be they back pain from sitting too long or the tense shoulders that come with anger. The internet's shadow is about to be revealed. Throughout this discussion, we've explored how simulacra, identity fragmentation, lack of agency, and the loss of authentic connection create patterns of dehumanization. Cyberbullying strips individuals of their dignity and worth. Online harassment silences marginalized voices and creates a climate of fear. The spread of misinformation distorts our understanding of reality and undermines trust in institutions. These are all symptoms of a deeper problem, the dehumanizing potential of technology when it is not guided by ethical principles and human values. It has led to widespread addiction. The addictive nature of the internet, with its endless streams of content, notifications, and social validation, can be framed as a modern-day equivalent of an opium den, offering a temporary escape from reality, but ultimately leaving us feeling empty and disconnected. The neurological mechanisms that contribute to internet addiction are similar to those involved in substance abuse, with dopamine playing a key role in reinforcing addictive behaviors. Specific examples include social media addiction, where individuals become obsessed with likes, comments, and followers. Gaming addiction, where individuals spend countless hours playing online games, neglecting their real-world responsibilities. And pornography addiction, where individuals develop a compulsive need to consume sexually explicit material, leading to relationship problems and emotional distress. It is a collective problem. Taking collective responsibility for the state of the internet and working towards a more ethical and human-centered digital culture is not just a matter of individual well-being, but a moral imperative that will determine the future of our society. This requires a shift in mindset from passive consumption to active participation, from individualistic pursuits to collective action. It demands that we hold tech companies accountable for the ethical implications of their products and services, and that we advocate for policies that protect user privacy, promote data security, and foster a more equitable digital landscape. The time has come. We stand at a choice point, with the potential for technology to lead us down a dystopian path or elevate us to a utopian future. Will we allow technology to control our lives, to erode our sense of self, and to divide us into polarized camps? Or will we harness its power to connect us, to empower us, and to create a more just and sustainable world? The choice is ours, and the time to act is now. What kind of future do you want to create? It is this collective problem that algorithmic persuasion exploits through subliminal influence. Algorithms subtly shape our choices through personalized recommendations, targeted advertising, and curated content feeds. This influence often operates unconsciously, making it difficult to resist. Imagine scrolling through your social media feed and encountering an ad for a product that perfectly aligns with your recent searches or interests. This isn't a coincidence. It's the result of sophisticated algorithms that track your online behavior and tailor advertisements to your specific preferences. These algorithms analyze vast amounts of data, including your search history, browsing activity, social media interactions, and even your location to create a detailed profile of your interests, needs, and desires. This profile is then used to deliver personalized recommendations, targeted advertisements, and curated content that are designed to capture your attention and influence your decisions. YouTube's recommendation algorithm, for instance, uses your viewing history to suggest videos that you are likely to enjoy, creating a personalized content feed that can keep you engaged for hours. These systems of influence are rooted in operant conditioning. This algorithmic manipulation connects directly to operant conditioning and the Skinner box experiment, explaining how variable rewards and intermittent reinforcement create addictive behaviors. The Skinner box, named after psychologist B.F. Skinner, is a device used to study animal behavior. In a typical experiment, an animal, such as a rat or pigeon, is placed in a box containing a lever or button. When the animal presses the lever, it receives a reward, such as a food pellet. Over time, the animal learns to associate pressing the lever with receiving the reward, and it begins to press the lever more frequently. The key to this process is the use of variable rewards and intermittent reinforcement. If the animal receives a reward every time it presses the lever, it will quickly become satiated and lose interest. However, if the reward is delivered on a variable schedule, where the animal receives a reward only some of the time, it will continue to press the lever in the hope of receiving another reward. This is because the uncertainty of the reward creates a sense of anticipation and excitement, making the behavior more addictive. Social media notifications, likes, and the constant stream of new content operate on a similar principle. Each notification represents a potential reward, triggering a release of dopamine in the brain and reinforcing the behavior of checking social media. The unpredictable nature of these rewards keeps us hooked, constantly seeking the next hit of social validation. But what happens when we lose control? Algorithmic manipulation erodes our sense of free will and autonomy, leading us to make choices that are not aligned with our values or goals. When algorithms subtly shape our choices through personalized recommendations, targeted advertising, and curated content feeds, we may not even be aware that we are being influenced. This can lead us to make decisions that we would not have made otherwise, based on factors that are not relevant to our values or goals. The 2016 U.S. presidential election provides a stark example of how algorithmic manipulation can influence political outcomes. It has been shown that Russian agents used social media platforms to spread misinformation and propaganda, targeting specific groups of voters with personalized messages designed to influence their opinions. Cambridge Analytica harvested data from millions of Facebook users without their consent and used this data to create targeted political ads, swaying voters and potentially influencing the outcome of the election. Are these systems ethical? These cases raise serious ethical concerns about algorithmic manipulation and the lack of transparency and accountability in the design of these systems. Who is ultimately responsible for the choices that algorithms make, and how can we ensure that they are aligned with human values? Legal battles are being waged in current antitrust cases against big tech, seeking to hold these companies accountable for their actions. Concerns include data privacy violations, anti-competitive practices, and the spread of misinformation. These cases highlight the urgent need for greater transparency and accountability in the tech industry, as well as for stronger regulations to protect consumers and promote fair competition. But the issue goes beyond legal and political solutions. What about society itself? The utopian vision of the internet as a global village is being challenged by the reality that hyperconnectivity can lead to superficial connections and a weakening of local communities. The concept of a global village, popularized by Marshall McLuhan in the 1960s, envisioned a world where technology would bring people closer together, fostering greater understanding and cooperation. However, the internet has also created new forms of isolation and fragmentation. as individuals retreat into online echo chambers and lose touch with their local communities. Dunbar's number, which suggests that humans can only maintain meaningful relationships with around 150 people, highlights the limitations of hyperconnectivity. While we may have thousands of friends on social media, the vast majority of these connections are superficial, lacking the depth and intimacy of real-world relationships. The decline of local businesses and community organizations in favor of online alternatives is another symptom of this trend. As more and more people turn to online shopping, entertainment, and social interaction, local communities suffer, losing their economic vitality and social cohesion. What are the implications for identity? The internet facilitates a lifestyle of digital nomadism, where individuals can work and live anywhere in the world, but often lack a strong sense of belonging or connection to a specific place. Remote workers and van life enthusiasts exemplify this trend, embracing a lifestyle of freedom and flexibility, but often sacrificing the stability and rootedness that come from living in a particular community. While digital nomadism can offer many benefits, such as the opportunity to travel, experience new cultures, and work on projects that align with one's values, it can also lead to feelings of rootlessness, detachment, and loneliness. Without a strong sense of place, it can be difficult to build meaningful relationships, participate in local communities, and develop a sense of belonging. This rootlessness is further aggravated by the fading of shared culture. Hyperconnectivity contributes to the fragmentation of shared culture and the polarization of society, as individuals retreat into online echo chambers and lose touch with diverse perspectives. The decline of mainstream media and the rise of niche online communities reflects this trend. As individuals increasingly curate their own information feeds and seek out sources that confirm their pre-existing beliefs, they become less exposed to diverse perspectives and more entrenched in their own viewpoints. This can lead to increased polarization and conflict, as individuals become less able to understand or empathize with those who hold different beliefs. The solution lies in rebuilding intentional communities and fostering a sense of presence. Rebuilding community requires intentionally cultivating local connections and prioritizing face-to-face interactions to combat the erosion of community in the digital age. Joining neighborhood associations, volunteering in local organizations, and participating in community events are all ways to strengthen ties to your local area. Making an effort to meet your neighbors, support local businesses, and get involved in local issues can help create a stronger sense of community and belonging. Prioritizing face-to-face interactions with friends and family, rather than relying solely on online communication, can deepen relationships and foster a greater sense of connection. The key to authentic connections is moving beyond superficial performance. Online platforms encourage us to curate our identities and project an idealized version of ourselves, leading to a constant performance of authenticity. Instagram filters, carefully crafted social media posts, and the use of Photoshop are all tools that we use to create a polished and perfected image of ourselves online. This pressure to project perfection can lead to a disconnect between our online persona and our true selves, as we become more concerned with how we are perceived by others than with expressing our genuine thoughts, feelings, and experiences. But is this performance actually real? This pressure to perform authenticity online undermines genuine self-expression, as we become more concerned with how we are perceived by others than with expressing our true selves. This creates a paradox. Influencers who create videos about being their authentic self, while heavily editing themselves, exemplify this phenomenon. The very act of trying to perform authenticity can make it feel contrived and inauthentic, as we become more focused on meeting external expectations than on expressing our inner truth. As we create simulacra, what does it mean to be real? What is the cost of this comparison? The constant comparison of ourselves to others online takes a significant psychological toll, leading to feelings of insecurity, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Social media can create a distorted view of reality, as we are constantly bombarded with images of seemingly perfect lives, bodies, and relationships. Studies have shown that social media use is associated with increased rates of depression, anxiety, and body dissatisfaction, particularly among young people. Cyberbullying, fueled by anonymity and the lack of social cues, can have devastating consequences for victims, leading to feelings of isolation, shame, and even suicidal ideation. The best antidote is embracing imperfection. Embracing vulnerability and imperfection is a powerful way to break free from the performance of authenticity and connect with others on a deeper level. Sharing personal stories, expressing emotions honestly, and admitting our mistakes can help us to build trust, foster empathy, and create more meaningful relationships. Brené Brown, a researcher and author who has studied vulnerability extensively, argues that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. It is through our willingness to be open, honest, and authentic that we can truly connect with others and experience a sense of belonging. However, with vulnerability comes a risk of being targeted in the echo chambers that have come to dominate the web. Filter bubbles and confirmation bias reinforce existing beliefs and limit exposure to diverse perspectives, creating echo chambers where individuals are only exposed to information that confirms their pre-existing views. Algorithms on social media platforms and search engines often prioritize content that aligns with our past behavior, creating personalized filter bubbles that shield us from dissenting opinions and alternative viewpoints. This can lead to increased polarization and extremism as individuals become more entrenched in their own beliefs and less able to understand or empathize with those who hold different views. The weaponization of information has made the situation even worse. Misinformation and propaganda are increasingly used to manipulate public opinion, sow discord, and undermine trust in institutions and experts. The spread of fake news online, often amplified by social media algorithms, can have serious consequences, influencing elections, inciting violence, and eroding social cohesion. The 2016 US presidential election and the Brexit referendum provide stark examples of how misinformation can be used to manipulate voters and influence political outcomes. Case studies have shown how fake news articles, often designed to appeal to emotions rather than reason, can spread rapidly online, reaching millions of people in a matter of hours. This creates a death of expertise. The epistemic crisis has led to a decline in trust in experts and institutions, as individuals become more reliant on their own research and less willing to accept established knowledge. The anti-vaccine movement exemplifies this trend, with individuals often relying on anecdotal evidence and conspiracy theories rather than scientific consensus to make decisions about their health. This mistrust of experts and institutions can have serious consequences, undermining public health, hindering scientific progress, and eroding the foundations of democracy. Therefore, critical thinking is paramount. Cultivating critical thinking skills, media literacy, and intellectual humility is a way to navigate the complex information landscape and distinguish between truth and falsehood. Learning to evaluate sources critically, fact-check claims, and identify bias can help you to avoid being misled by misinformation and propaganda. Intellectual humility, the recognition that we don't know everything and that our beliefs may be wrong, is essential for engaging in constructive dialogue and learning from others. By cultivating these skills, we can become more informed, discerning, and resilient citizens, able to navigate the challenges of the digital age and contribute to a more truthful and just society. How can we build a better future? The cultivation of critical thinking, media literacy, and intellectual humility is a crucial step toward building a better future. But even those striving for truth can be swept up in the storms of online emotion. The internet, once envisioned as a tool for global connection, now often feels like a battleground of competing outrage narratives. How has the promise of connection devolved into an age of rage? What are the psychological forces driving this phenomenon? And can we find a way to channel this powerful emotion into productive action? The outrage algorithm is a key driver of online negativity, prioritizing and amplifying content that elicits strong emotional reactions, particularly anger and outrage. Online platforms thrive on engagement, and nothing drives engagement like a good dose of moral indignation. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle of negativity, where sensationalistic stories and inflammatory opinions are rewarded with increased visibility, while nuanced perspectives and reasoned arguments are often ignored. The dopamine feedback loop plays a significant role, as users receive a surge of pleasure from the validation and attention that comes with expressing outrage, further reinforcing this behavior. Consider the virality of controversial tweets, where a single provocative statement can ignite a firestorm of online debate, generating millions of views and comments. News articles with emotionally charged headlines are also more likely to be shared and amplified, even if the content itself is misleading or inaccurate. The economics of attention incentivize platforms to prioritize outrage, creating an environment where rational discourse is often drowned out by the din of online conflict. This also plays into a desire for social approval. Moral grandstanding, or virtue signaling, further fuels the cycle of online outrage, as individuals seek social approval by publicly displaying their moral outrage and condemning perceived wrongdoers. This can lead to performative activism, where individuals focus on symbolic gestures rather than substantive change, prioritizing the appearance of virtue over the actual impact of their actions. Cancel culture incidents, where individuals are publicly shamed and ostracized for perceived offenses, exemplify this phenomenon. Online shamming campaigns, often fueled by incomplete information or misrepresentations of events, can have devastating consequences for the targets, leading to job loss, social isolation, and mental health problems. The desire to signal virtue can also lead to a lack of empathy and a willingness to dehumanize those who are perceived as morally deficient. This creates a dangerous dynamic, where individuals are more concerned with maintaining their social standing than with seeking truth or promoting understanding. The relative anonymity of the web certainly enables this behavior. Online outrage contributes to dehumanization by creating a sense of distance and anonymity, making it easier to attack and demonize others. The online disinhibition effect describes how individuals are more likely to engage in aggressive or antisocial behavior online than they would in person, due to the lack of face-to-face contact and the perceived anonymity of the internet. Cyberbullying, online harassment, and the spread of hate speech are all manifestations of this dehumanization effect. The anonymity of the internet can also create a sense of impunity, as individuals feel less accountable for their actions when they are hidden behind a screen name. This disinhibition can lead to a breakdown of social norms and a normalization of aggression, creating a toxic online environment. Moreover, the sheer volume of negativity can create a sense of despair and hopelessness, making it difficult to maintain a positive outlook or believe in the possibility of change. However, the stakes are not necessarily a dead end. It is possible to channel the energy of outrage into productive action, but only if we are aware of the psychological forces at play and committed to ethical and compassionate engagement. Effective activism requires a deep understanding of the issues, a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue, and a focus on systemic change rather than individual condemnation. Compassionate dialogue involves listening to opposing viewpoints with an open mind, seeking to understand the motivations and experiences of others, and finding common ground based on shared values. Consider the example of climate change activism, where individuals are channeling their outrage into demanding policy changes, promoting sustainable practices, and educating the public about the urgency of the crisis. Or consider the work of organizations that are combating online hate speech by promoting media literacy, fostering empathy, and advocating for stronger regulations. The key is to transform outrage into a catalyst for positive change, rather than allowing it to fuel division and animosity. This division often manifests as tribalism. Digital tribalism, the rise of online identities and the division of society, builds upon the outrage economy, creating echo chambers where individuals are increasingly isolated from diverse perspectives and entrenched in their own beliefs. This phenomenon is rooted in the psychological dynamics of in-group and out-group bias, which has played out through human history. How does our innate tendency toward tribalism manifest in the digital world? What are the implications for empathy, understanding, and social cohesion? And how can we move beyond tribalism to cultivate common ground and build a more inclusive society? The psychology of us versus them drives tribalism, explaining how humans are naturally inclined to form in-groups and out-groups, and how this can lead to prejudice, discrimination, and conflict. This tendency is rooted in our evolutionary history, as humans evolved in small, close-knit communities where cooperation and loyalty were essential for survival. In-group bias, the tendency to favor members of our own group and view them more positively, is a powerful force that shapes our perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors. Out-group bias, the tendency to view members of other groups more negatively and attribute negative characteristics to them, further exacerbates this dynamic. This tribalism plays out in online communities across a wide range of spheres, from political affiliations and sports, fandom, to shared consumer preferences and ideological beliefs. For example, online political communities often become echo chambers where individuals are only exposed to information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, leading to increased polarization and animosity toward opposing groups. Sports fans often engage in fierce rivalries, denigrating opposing teams and their supporters, even to the point of violence. The internet amplifies and intensifies these tribalistic tendencies, creating online battlegrounds where individuals are more likely to engage in aggressive and dehumanizing behavior. This problem is magnified by echo chambers. Online echo chambers reinforce group identity by limiting exposure to diverse perspectives and creating a sense of shared reality, leading to increasing polarization and a breakdown of civil discourse. Algorithms on social media platforms often prioritize content that aligns with our past behavior, creating personalized filter bubbles that shield us from dissenting opinions and alternative viewpoints. This can lead to a situation where individuals are only exposed to information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, reinforcing their biases and making them less willing to consider alternative perspectives. In the political sphere, echo chambers can contribute to the spread of misinformation and propaganda, as individuals are more likely to believe and share information that aligns with their political views, regardless of its veracity. In the entertainment sphere, echo chambers can lead to the formation of fanatical fan bases that are intolerant of criticism or dissenting opinions. This breakdown of civil discourse creates a hostile online environment where individuals are afraid to express their opinions for fear of being attacked or ostracized. The erosion of empathy is a tragic consequence. Digital tribalism erodes empathy by encouraging us to dehumanize members of opposing groups, making it easier to dismiss their concerns and justify violence or aggression. When we view members of other groups as less human than ourselves, we are less likely to empathize with their suffering or consider their perspectives. This dehumanization can be fueled by stereotypes, prejudice, and misinformation, creating a distorted view of reality that makes it easier to justify harmful actions. The Rwandan genocide provides a stark example of how dehumanization can lead to mass violence, as Hutu extremists used propaganda to portray Tutsis as cockroaches and demons, making it easier for ordinary people to participate in the killings. In the online world, dehumanization can manifest as cyberbullying, online harassment, and the spread of hate speech, creating a toxic environment that normalizes aggression and violence. But there is hope beyond tribalism. Overcoming digital tribalism requires a conscious effort to cultivate empathy, build bridges across divides, and find common ground based on shared values. This involves actively seeking out diverse perspectives, challenging our own biases, and engaging in respectful dialogue with those who hold different beliefs. It also requires recognizing our shared humanity and focusing on the values that unite us, such as compassion, justice, and respect for human dignity. Consider the values that most humans share: love, compassion, family, safety, security, etc. Organizations that promote interfaith dialogue, cross-cultural exchange programs, and community-building initiatives are all working to bridge divides and foster understanding. Ultimately, overcoming digital tribalism requires a fundamental shift in our mindset, from one of division and animosity to one of empathy and compassion. This shift requires us to be authentic in our interactions. The synthetic self, the performance of authenticity in a digital age, represents another layer of complexity in our understanding of the Internet's impact. How does the pressure to conform to social media norms shape our identities? Has authenticity itself become a commodity? And what are the implications for our sense of self and our search for meaning? Are our online lives becoming a carefully constructed performance, masking a deeper sense of emptiness? Social media platforms create pressure to conform to certain ideals and norms, leading individuals to construct identities that are based on external validation rather than inner authenticity. Instagram, with its emphasis on curated images and aspirational lifestyles, exemplifies this trend. Users often feel compelled to present a polished and idealized version of themselves, filtering their photos, carefully crafting their captions, and selectively sharing only the most flattering aspects of their lives. This can lead to a disconnect between their online persona and their true selves, as they become more concerned with how they are perceived by others than with expressing their genuine thoughts, feelings, and experiences. TikTok, with its emphasis on viral trends and short-form video content, creates a similar pressure to conform, as users strive to create content that will resonate with a wide audience and generate likes, comments, and shares. This can lead to a homogenization of content, as individuals copy popular trends and mimic the styles of successful influencers, sacrificing their individuality in the process. As people try to capture fleeting moments of perfection, they are constantly curating their digital persona. But are they capturing real life? Authenticity has become a commodity in the digital age, with influencers and brands marketing their true selves to consumers in an effort to build trust and loyalty. Influencers often present themselves as relatable and authentic, sharing personal stories, expressing their opinions, and engaging with their followers in a seemingly genuine way. However, this authenticity is often carefully crafted and strategically managed, designed to build a loyal following and generate revenue through sponsored content and affiliate marketing. Brands also seek to cultivate an image of authenticity, emphasizing their commitment to ethical practices, social responsibility, and transparency. However, this can often be a form of greenwashing or wokewashing, where companies promote a superficial image of authenticity to appeal to consumers, while failing to address deeper systemic issues. The relentless commodification of authenticity has led some to question whether the word itself has lost its meaning. As social media continues to permeate our lives, how can we separate what's real from what's been manufactured? The performance of authenticity online undermines genuine self-expression, as individuals become more concerned with how they are perceived by others than with expressing their true selves. This creates a paradox. The more we strive to appear authentic, the more inauthentic we become. As individuals become more focused on curating their online persona and managing their reputation, they may become less willing to take risks, express unpopular opinions, or share their vulnerabilities. This can lead to a stifling of creativity, a lack of genuine connection, and a growing sense of emptiness. The concept of simulacra, as articulated by Jean Baudrillard, becomes increasingly relevant in this context. Baudrillard argued that our society has become so saturated with simulations and representations that it is no longer possible to distinguish between the real and the artificial. In the digital age, this blurring of reality is amplified, as our online lives become increasingly detached from our offline experiences. What happens when real and fake become indistinguishable? The focus on performing authenticity can lead to a sense of emptiness and a loss of connection to one's inner self, ultimately threading back to the earlier themes of the existential void and the search for meaning. Without a connection to one's inner self, it becomes difficult to cultivate a sense of purpose, direction, or meaning in life. The constant pursuit of external validation can leave individuals feeling empty and unfulfilled, as they become more focused on meeting external expectations than on pursuing their own passions and values. This can lead to a sense of alienation, isolation, and despair. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the process of becoming a whole and integrated self, as essential for psychological well-being. Without a connection to one's inner self, individuation becomes impossible. Is mental and spiritual well-being possible without knowing one's true self? To what extent does immersion in echo chambers impair that self-knowledge? Echo chambers create cognitive dissonance by exposing individuals only to information that confirms their existing beliefs and shielding them from conflicting perspectives. Cognitive dissonance, a psychological phenomenon described by Leon Festinger, refers to the mental discomfort that arises when individuals hold conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. To reduce this discomfort, individuals tend to avoid information that contradicts their existing beliefs, seek out information that confirms them, and rationalize away any inconsistencies. Echo chambers exacerbate this tendency, creating environments where individuals are only exposed to information that reinforces their pre-existing views, making it even more difficult to consider alternative perspectives. This can lead to a hardening of beliefs, increased polarization, and a resistance to change, which can also lead to feelings of anxiety. Prolonged exposure to echo chambers can lead to a decline in critical thinking skills and an erosion of intellectual humility, as individuals become less willing to question their own assumptions or consider alternative viewpoints. Critical thinking involves the ability to analyze information objectively, evaluate evidence, and form reasoned judgments. Intellectual humility, the recognition that we don't know everything and that our beliefs may be wrong, is essential for engaging in constructive dialogue and learning from others. Echo chambers undermine both of these skills, as individuals are rarely challenged to defend their beliefs or consider alternative perspectives. This can lead to a decline in intellectual curiosity, a lack of self-awareness, and an overconfidence in one's own knowledge, which undermines any sense of intellectual or moral progress. So is it possible to be smart in an echo chamber? Echo chambers contribute to the fragmentation of reality, as individuals come to inhabit different information universes with fundamentally different understandings of the world. This creates a situation where it becomes increasingly difficult to find common ground or engage in meaningful dialogue, as individuals are operating from entirely different sets of assumptions and beliefs. The rise of conspiracy theories, the politicization of science, and the erosion of trust in institutions and experts are all symptoms of this fragmentation of reality. When reality becomes fragmented, it becomes more difficult to solve collective problems, maintain social cohesion, and preserve democratic values. How can a society function when its members cannot agree on basic facts or shared understandings of the world? This information crisis sets the stage for the next section. Escaping the echo chamber requires a conscious effort to cultivate intellectual humility, seek out diverse perspectives, and engage in open and honest dialogue, which elevates the stakes for our future. This involves actively challenging our own biases, questioning our assumptions, and being willing to listen to those who hold different beliefs. It also involves seeking out credible sources of information, engaging in fact-checking, and being wary of misinformation and propaganda. Cultivating intellectual humility requires recognizing that we don't have all the answers and being open to the possibility that we may be wrong. Engaging in open and honest dialogue requires creating a safe space for individuals to express their opinions, even if they are unpopular or controversial, and being willing to listen to others with empathy and respect. In a world of echo chambers, is it still possible to find truth? The information crisis, marked by fragmented realities and distrust, lays bare a deeper issue: the crisis of empathy, which is being actively undermined by disinhibition and dehumanization. How has the internet, seemingly designed to connect us, facilitated an environment where our capacity for compassion erodes? What are the specific mechanisms at play, and how can we actively cultivate empathy in the digital age? The online disinhibition effect describes the loosening of social constraints and behavioral inhibitions that often occurs in online environments. Anonymity, a key component of this effect, reduces accountability, allowing individuals to express opinions and engage in behaviors they might normally suppress in face-to-face interactions. The lack of nonverbal cues further exacerbates this effect, as we lose the ability to read facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice, which are essential for understanding the emotional context of communication. This can lead to misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and a diminished sense of empathy. Cyberbullying, trolling, and the spread of hate speech are prime examples of the online disinhibition effect in action. Consider the anonymity afforded by platforms like 4chan or the comment sections of news websites, where individuals often feel emboldened to make offensive or hateful remarks without fear of real-world consequences. The absence of immediate social feedback also allows these behaviors to persist and escalate, creating a toxic online environment. This effect, left unchecked, fosters dehumanization. Dehumanization, the process of perceiving others as lacking in human qualities or attributes, is a dangerous consequence of online interactions. When we reduce individuals to stereotypes, objects, or abstract categories, we diminish our capacity for empathy and increase our willingness to inflict harm. Online interactions can contribute to dehumanization by creating a sense of distance and anonymity, as we are less likely to see others as complex individuals with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The use of derogatory language, the spread of hateful memes, and the justification of violence against marginalized groups are all examples of dehumanization in action. Consider the rhetoric used in online political debates, where opponents are often portrayed as enemies, traitors, or morally deficient individuals. Or consider the spread of conspiracy theories that demonize entire groups of people, attributing malicious intent and nefarious motives to them. This constant barrage of negativity desensitizes us to the suffering of others and erodes our capacity for compassion. Moreover, the sheer scale of online interactions can create a sense of overwhelmingness, leading to a diffusion of responsibility and inaction. The bystander effect, a well-documented psychological phenomenon, describes the tendency for individuals to be less likely to intervene in a situation when other people are present. In online contexts, the bystander effect can manifest as a reluctance to speak out against cyberbullying, harassment, or hate speech, as individuals assume that someone else will take action. This diffusion of responsibility is exacerbated by the anonymity and distance of online interactions, as it becomes easier to rationalize inaction or downplay the severity of the situation. However, even a small act of intervention can make a significant difference. Research has shown that simply expressing support for a victim of cyberbullying can reduce the negative impact of the attack and encourage others to come forward. Promoting a culture of support and solidarity requires actively challenging harmful behaviors, speaking out against injustice, and creating spaces for empathy and understanding. Ultimately, reclaiming our humanity requires a conscious effort to foster empathy and compassion in our online interactions. But can this intervention truly make a difference? Reclaiming our humanity in the digital age demands a conscious rejection of disinhibition and dehumanization in favor of actively fostering empathy and compassion in our online interactions. This means treating others with respect, even when we disagree with them, and challenging hateful or harmful rhetoric. It means actively listening to diverse perspectives, seeking to understand the experiences of others, and finding common ground based on shared values. It also means standing up for those who are being mistreated, offering support to victims of cyberbullying or harassment, and promoting a culture of kindness and understanding. But even with these efforts, are we truly free online? Our online lives are increasingly shaped by algorithms that curate our experiences and influence our choices. The panopticon effect, behavioral modification, and filter bubbles are all facets of the algorithmic cage, subtly shaping our thoughts and behaviors. How can we recognize and resist these forces? And how can we reclaim our minds and our freedom in a world dominated by technology? The panopticon, a concept developed by philosopher Mitchell Foucault, refers to a type of prison where all inmates can be observed by a single watchman without knowing whether they are being watched at any particular moment. This constant possibility of surveillance leads to self-regulation and conformity, as individuals internalize the gaze of the observer and modify their behavior accordingly. In the digital age, the panopticon effect manifests as the constant surveillance and data collection of online platforms, leading to self-surveillance and a pressure to conform to societal norms. The use of facial recognition technology, the tracking of online activity, and the algorithmic scoring of individuals based on their behavior all contribute to this sense of being watched. This constant self-surveillance can lead to increased anxiety, decreased creativity, and a loss of autonomy, as individuals become more concerned with meeting external expectations than with expressing their true selves. But this isn't just about feeling watched. Online platforms use nudges, subtle prompts and cues, and other behavioral modification techniques to influence our choices and behaviors, often without our conscious awareness. These techniques are based on principles of behavioral economics and psychology, designed to exploit our cognitive biases and emotional vulnerabilities. Personalized recommendations, targeted advertising, and the use of persuasive design principles are all examples of behavioral modification in action. Consider the way that online retailers use scarcity tactics, such as displaying messages like "only 2 left in stock," to create a sense of urgency and encourage us to make a purchase. Or consider the way that social media platforms use notifications and badges to draw our attention and keep us engaged, exploiting our desire for social validation. The ethical implications of these techniques are significant, particularly when they are used to manipulate us for commercial or political gain. When are we being manipulated without our knowledge? The filter bubble, a term coined by internet activist Eli Pariser, describes the personalized information environments created by algorithms that limit our exposure to diverse perspectives and reinforce our existing beliefs. Social media feeds, search engine results, and news aggregators all rely on algorithms to curate content based on our past behavior, preferences, and social connections. This can lead to a situation where we are only exposed to information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, creating a sense of intellectual isolation and making it more difficult to consider alternative viewpoints. The consequences of this isolation are significant, including increased polarization, decreased empathy, and a diminished capacity for critical thinking. Consider the way that political echo chambers on social media amplify partisan divides, as individuals are only exposed to information that supports their political views and demonizes opposing viewpoints. Or consider the way that conspiracy theories spread online, as individuals are drawn into communities where their beliefs are reinforced and validated, regardless of the evidence. Is escape even possible? Escaping the algorithmic cage requires a conscious effort to reclaim our minds and our freedom. This involves cultivating awareness of the ways in which technology shapes our thoughts and behaviors, seeking out diverse perspectives, and resisting the forces of manipulation. It also involves developing critical thinking skills, learning to evaluate information objectively, and being wary of misinformation and propaganda. Moreover, it requires questioning the underlying assumptions and values that shape the design of online platforms, advocating for ethical design principles that prioritize human well-being over commercial or political gain. Ultimately, escaping the algorithmic cage requires a commitment to intellectual autonomy, a willingness to challenge the status quo, and a belief in the power of human agency. Are we, however, looking for agency in the right places? Technology's influence extends beyond our thoughts, touching upon the very core of our existence. We now face a spiritual crisis in the digital world. How has technology contributed to a loss of awe and wonder? Has spirituality become just another commodity? And how can we reclaim the sacred and cultivate inner meaning and purpose in a digital world? The secularization of experience describes the decline of religious institutions, the rise of consumerism, and the overstimulation of the senses through technology, all of which contribute to a loss of awe and wonder. As we become increasingly focused on the material world and disconnected from the transcendent, we lose our sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. The constant bombardment of information and stimulation can desensitize us to the beauty and mystery of the world, making it more difficult to experience moments of awe and wonder. The decline of traditional religious practices has also left a void in many people's lives, as they seek alternative sources of meaning and purpose. This secularization can lead to increased anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of purpose. The once-in-a-lifetime and awesome is reduced to just another experience. Has technology killed the sacred? Spirituality has become increasingly commodified in the digital age, with influencers and brands marketing spiritual practices and products as a way to achieve happiness, success, and fulfillment. Meditation apps, crystals, and manifestation techniques are all marketed as quick and easy solutions to life's problems, promising to deliver inner peace and abundance with minimal effort. This commodification undermines genuine spiritual growth by encouraging us to seek meaning in external validation rather than inner transformation. It also creates a superficial and transactional approach to spirituality, where individuals are more concerned with acquiring spiritual goods and services than with cultivating a deep and meaningful connection to the divine. The focus shifts from inner work to external performance, perpetuating the cycle of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Ultimately, can one truly buy spiritual enlightenment? Technology serves as a distraction from deeper questions of meaning, purpose, and identity, exacerbating the existential void. The constant stream of notifications, updates, and distractions can keep us from confronting our inner selves and exploring our deepest values and beliefs. The fear of boredom, the constant need for stimulation, and the pressure to stay connected can all prevent us from engaging in introspection and self-reflection. This can lead to a sense of emptiness, a feeling of being lost or adrift, and a lack of direction in life. As technology fills the void, it becomes even harder to find our way back to what is truly important. So how do we find our path? Overcoming the spiritual crisis requires a conscious effort to reclaim the sacred by cultivating inner meaning and purpose. This involves prioritizing practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and spending time in nature as ways to reconnect with our inner selves and find meaning in the world around us. It also involves cultivating a sense of gratitude, appreciating the simple joys of life, and engaging in acts of service and compassion. By shifting our focus from external validation to inner transformation, we can begin to fill the existential void and find a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. If any of this resonates with you, know that there is a path forward. This path requires re-enchanting technology and reclaiming our humanity by shaping a future where technology serves our highest potential. Is such a future possible? And what are the steps we must take to get there? Ethical design principles, which prioritize human values over commercial or political gain, privacy-preserving technologies, decentralized platforms, and open-source software are the foundation. Conscious consumption involves making informed choices about the technology we use, supporting companies committed to ethical practices, reducing screen time, curating our online experiences, and engaging in mindful technology use. Community building, both online and offline, creates spaces for authentic connection, support, and shared values through organizing local events, participating in online forums, and supporting community-based organizations. All of these are pieces of a puzzle. Ultimately, reclaiming our humanity requires a conscious and collective effort to shape a future where technology serves our highest potential. But is this the only possible outcome? Will we choose to be active participants in shaping our digital destiny, or will we allow technology to continue shaping us? Will we strive to create a world where technology enhances our humanity, or will we succumb to a future where technology diminishes it? The choice, as always, is ours. What do you choose? The choice, as always, is ours. What do you choose? But even with ethical design, conscious consumption, and community building, can we truly shift the course of a technologically driven world? How can individual change translate into societal transformation? Is it possible to overcome apathy and inspire action on a larger scale? And how can we reclaim our collective power to shape the future? The myth of helplessness, the pervasive belief that individual actions are insignificant in the face of overwhelming problems, is a major obstacle to social change. Many people feel powerless when confronted with issues like climate change, economic inequality, or political corruption, leading to apathy and inaction. However, this feeling of powerlessness is often based on a misunderstanding of how change actually happens. Individual actions do matter, especially when they are multiplied and amplified through collective action. Successful social movements, grassroots campaigns, and communitile initiatives all demonstrate the power of collective action to create significant change. Consider the civil rights movement in the United States, where the actions of ordinary people, from participating in protests to organizing boycotts, led to the dismantling of segregation and the advancement of racial equality. Or consider the environmental movement, where the collective efforts of activists, scientists, and concerned citizens have raised awareness about climate change and pushed for policy changes to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. These examples show that individual actions, when combined with the efforts of others, can have a profound impact on society. However, is it enough to act alone? Seemingly small acts of kindness, generosity, and ethical consumption can create a ripple effect that spreads outwards, influencing others and contributing to a more positive and just world. When we support local businesses, we are not only investing in our communities, but also promoting economic sustainability and reducing our reliance on large corporations. When we volunteer our time, we are not only helping those in need, but also fostering a sense of connection and solidarity. And when we practice digital minimalism, we are not only reducing our screen time, but also creating more space for meaningful relationships and experiences. These actions may seem insignificant on their own, but they can inspire others to follow suit, creating a chain reaction of positive change. For example, A person who starts composting their food waste may inspire their neighbors to do the same, leading to a reduction in landfill waste and a greater awareness of environmental issues. Or a person who chooses to support fair trade products may encourage others to make more ethical purchasing decisions, leading to improved working conditions for farmers and artisans in developing countries. These examples demonstrate the power of small acts to create big change, but they can be expanded when people band together. Building alliances and connecting with like-minded individuals and organizations is essential for amplifying our impact and creating a sense of shared purpose. By working together, we can pool our resources, share our knowledge, and coordinate our efforts to achieve common goals. These communities can provide support, encouragement, and a sense of belonging, helping us to stay motivated and engaged in the long term. Online forums, social media groups, and community organizations all provide opportunities for connecting with like-minded individuals. Joining a local environmental group, volunteering at a homeless shelter, or participating in an online campaign are all ways to get involved and make a difference. For example, a group of parents concerned about the lack of healthy food options in their children's school could form a coalition to advocate for changes in the school's cafeteria menu. Or a group of activists concerned about social injustice could organize a protest or a boycott to raise awareness and demand change. These alliances create power. Expanding on previous themes of agency and community, our collective power is essential for shaping a future where technology serves humanity, rather than the other way around. Is society possible without a shared collective vision? The decline of shared values and the rise of individualism have contributed to a sense of fragmentation and disconnection, making it more difficult to address collective challenges. Reclaiming our collective power requires rebuilding trust, fostering dialogue, and promoting a sense of shared responsibility. It also requires recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our actions have consequences for others. By working together, we can create a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. But this might require an entirely different approach to technology, one that is not centralized. But how can we overcome the dangers of centralized online platforms, such as monopoly power, data exploitation, censorship, and algorithmic manipulation? Is there a way to reclaim our digital sovereignty and create a future where individuals have more control over their data, their identities, and their online experiences? What does digital sovereignty look like in practice? The dangers of centralized online platforms are becoming increasingly apparent. The market power of Google, Facebook, and Amazon allows them to control vast amounts of data, stifle competition, and shape our online experiences in ways that benefit their bottom lines. Data exploitation, the collection and use of personal data without our informed consent, is a pervasive practice that undermines our privacy and autonomy. Censorship, the suppression of dissenting voices or unpopular opinions, is a growing concern as online platforms struggle to balance freedom of expression with the need to combat hate speech and misinformation. Algorithmic manipulation, the use of algorithms to influence our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, is a subtle but powerful force that can shape our choices and limit our freedom. The deplatforming of individuals and communities and content moderation controversies raise important questions about the power of online platforms to control the flow of information and silence dissenting voices. Consider the controversy surrounding Facebook's handling of misinformation during the 2016 U.S. presidential election, or the deplatforming of Alex Jones from various online platforms for spreading conspiracy theories. These examples illustrate the need for greater transparency, accountability, and user control in the digital realm. Can decentralization solve these problems? Decentralized technologies and platforms, such as blockchain, peer-to-peer networks, and open-source software, offer the promise of a more equitable, democratic, and resilient digital ecosystem. Blockchain, a distributed ledger technology, enables secure and transparent transactions without the need for a central authority. Peer-to-peer networks allow users to share resources and information directly with each other, without relying on intermediaries. Open-source software is freely available for anyone to use, modify, and distribute, fostering innovation and collaboration. These technologies can empower individuals, promote freedom of expression, and create new opportunities for economic participation. Decentralization shifts the power from large corporations to individual end users. A digital ecosystem where users have more control over their data, their identities, and their online experiences, ensuring greater end-user agency. Does this ecosystem have to be all business? Decentralized alternatives to mainstream online platforms are emerging, offering users more control over their data, their identities, and their online experiences. Mastodon, a decentralized social network, allows users to create their own servers and communities, giving them more control over content moderation and data privacy. Diaspora, another decentralized social network, allows users to host their data on their own servers, giving them more control over their privacy and security. Decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, self-governing organizations that operate on blockchain technology, are creating new models for community governance and economic cooperation. Open-source software projects, such as Linux and Firefox, demonstrate the power of collaborative innovation and the benefits of sharing knowledge freely. Exploring their features and benefits, we can see that decentralization offers a viable path towards a more equitable and democratic digital future. But these projects must be maintained. Building a new, decentralized internet is essential for reclaiming our digital sovereignty and creating a future where individuals have more control over their data, their identities, and their online experiences. What does digital sovereignty look like in practice? Digital sovereignty means having the ability to control our own data, to choose the technologies we use, and to participate in the governance of the digital realm. It means protecting our privacy, defending our freedom of expression, and promoting digital literacy. It also means fostering innovation, supporting open-source software, and creating new models for digital ownership and governance. Reclaiming our digital sovereignty will require a collective effort, involving individuals, communities, and governments working together to create a more just and equitable digital future. But this task may be larger than we imagined. But as technology increasingly dominates our lives, how can we rediscover the magic in everyday life? How can we re-enchant the world and find meaning and purpose in a digital age? In a world dominated by technology, can humans still experience authentic awe? Challenging the notion that technology inevitably leads to a loss of awe and wonder, technology can also be used to enhance our appreciation for the beauty and mystery of the world around us. Technology can bring awareness to nature by providing access to stunning images and videos of natural landscapes, or by connecting us with scientists and researchers who are studying the natural world. It may also enhance scientific exploration, allowing us to explore the cosmos through telescopes and space probes, or to delve into the microscopic world through powerful microscopes. Technology can also enhance our appreciation of art by providing access to museums and galleries around the world, or by enabling us to create our own digital art. Instead of diminishing our sense of wonder, technology can actually amplify it by opening up new avenues for exploration, discovery, and creative expression. The key is to use technology consciously and intentionally, focusing on experiences that enhance our connection to the world around us. But must technology itself be enchanting? Exploring how augmented reality, AR, can be used to overlay digital information onto the physical world, augmented reality creates new opportunities for sensory exploration, creative expression, and meaningful interaction. AR applications can enhance sensory experiences by providing additional information about the objects and environments we encounter in our daily lives. For example, an AR app could overlay historical information onto a building, allowing us to experience the past in a more immersive and engaging way. AR applications can also enhance creative expression by allowing us to create digital art in the physical world, or by enabling us to collaborate with others on creative projects in real time. AR applications can also enhance meaningful interaction by providing new ways to connect with others and share experiences. For example, an AR app could allow us to leave digital messages for others to find in the physical world, or to create shared experiences in public spaces. The key is to design AR applications that enhance, rather than distract from, real-world experiences. However, the metaverse promises an even more powerful transformation. Discussing the potential for virtual worlds and the metaverse to create spaces for connection, creativity, and personal transformation, while acknowledging the risks of escapism and addiction. The metaverse, a persistent and shared virtual world, can provide opportunities for connection by allowing people to interact with each other in real time, regardless of their physical location. It can foster creativity by providing access to a wide range of digital tools and resources, enabling people to express themselves in new and innovative ways. It can also foster personal transformation by providing opportunities for learning, growth, and self-discovery. However, the metaverse also poses risks of escapism and addiction, as people may become overly reliant on virtual interactions and neglect their real-world responsibilities. Should the metaverse be seen as a tool or a distraction? The key is to use the metaverse consciously and intentionally, focusing on experiences that enhance our well-being and promote personal growth, not to escape from the real world. Threading this section back to the earlier themes of meaning and spirituality, re-enchanting the world through technology can help us find meaning and purpose in a digital age, and reconnect with our sense of awe and wonder. In a world dominated by technology, can humans still experience authentic awe? The answer is yes, but it requires a conscious effort to cultivate it. By using technology mindfully, by connecting with others authentically, and by embracing the beauty and mystery of the world around us, we can reclaim our sense of awe and wonder and find meaning and purpose in our digital lives. This also involves accepting the reality of change. But given the inevitability of change, how can we prepare for the unexpected? What skills are needed to adapt to these changes? And how can we create a society that is well prepared for an uncertain future? What are the qualities of a society that is well prepared for an uncertain future? Acknowledging that the future of technology is inherently uncertain and that we must be prepared for unexpected changes, disruptions, and challenges related to the end of the Internet. The end of the Internet, as we know it, may bring unforeseen consequences, from economic shifts to social upheavals. Black swan events, rare and unpredictable occurrences with significant impacts, are a constant possibility in a rapidly changing world. Preparing for the unexpected requires developing a mindset of adaptability, flexibility, and resilience, as well as cultivating the skills and resources needed to navigate uncertainty. Instead of fearing change, we can embrace it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Those who can't adapt will be left behind. Emphasizing the importance of cultivating resilience, adaptability, flexibility, and resourcefulness as essential skills for navigating a rapidly changing world. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to overcome challenges, and to learn from setbacks. Adaptability is the ability to adjust to new situations, to embrace change, and to thrive in uncertainty. Flexibility is the ability to think creatively, to solve problems effectively, and to find new ways of doing things. Resourcefulness is the ability to make the most of available resources, to find innovative solutions, and to overcome obstacles. Practicing mindfulness, learning new skills, and building strong support networks are practical techniques for cultivating these qualities. But one must also be comfortable with the possibility of failure. encouraging viewers to embrace failure as a learning opportunity, recognizing that mistakes are inevitable and that they can provide valuable insights and guidance. Discussing the importance of developing a growth mindset and a willingness to experiment and take risks. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a stepping stone towards it. By embracing failure, we can learn from our mistakes, adapt our strategies, and ultimately achieve our goals. Developing a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work, is essential for cultivating a willingness to experiment and take risks. Embracing failure requires a shift in perspective, from viewing mistakes as signs of weakness to viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning. But this must all be guided by a vision. Setting up the concluding section by reiterating the Choose Your Own Adventure theme, asking viewers to consider what kind of future they want to create and how they can contribute to making it a reality. What are the qualities of a society that is well prepared for an uncertain future? A society that values resilience, adaptability, and innovation. A society that embraces diversity, promotes inclusion, and fosters a sense of shared responsibility. And a society that is committed to using technology for the benefit of all, not just a privileged few. The future is not something that happens to us, but something that we create. What future will you choose to create? But even with resilience, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace failure, a larger question looms. Are we, as a species, destined to self-destruct through our own technological creations? Are we doomed by our ingenuity? The sheer vastness of the universe and the apparent absence of other intelligent civilizations, a conundrum known as the Fermi paradox, compels us to consider this unsettling possibility. If the universe is so old and so large, where is everybody? One proposed solution to this paradox is the concept of a great filter, a hypothetical barrier that prevents most, if not all, intelligent life from reaching a stage where it can be easily detected across interstellar distances. This filter could be a natural phenomenon, such as catastrophic asteroid impacts, or something inherent in the nature of intelligent life itself, such as a tendency towards self-destruction through war or ecological collapse. Could technology, the very thing we see as a sign of advancement, actually be a component of this great filter? Our current trajectory, marked by climate change, nuclear proliferation, and the potential misuse of artificial intelligence, suggests that technology, in the absence of wisdom and ethical considerations, may indeed lead to our demise. The threat of ecological destruction via climate change is very real. The rapid burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and unsustainable agricultural practices are releasing greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing global temperatures to rise. The consequences of this warming trend include more frequent and intense heat waves, rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and disruptions to ecosystems. What if this is only the beginning? Expanding on this concept, the dark forest theory offers another chilling perspective. This theory, popularized by science fiction author Liu Cixin, suggests that advanced civilizations remain hidden, actively avoiding detection, out of fear of being destroyed by other, potentially hostile civilizations. The underlying premise is that the universe is a dangerous place, a dark forest, where any revealed presence is a potential target. Applying this to technology, we must acknowledge its inherent duality. The same tools that can be used to advance human knowledge and well-being can also be weaponized. Nuclear weapons, for instance, represent an existential threat to humanity, capable of causing widespread devastation and long-term environmental damage. Bioterrorism, the deliberate release of deadly pathogens, poses another grave danger. And the potential for artificial intelligence to be used for autonomous weapons systems raises the specter of machines making life-or-death decisions without human oversight. The historical precedent is replete with examples of technological advancements leading to unforeseen and often destructive consequences. The invention of gunpowder, initially intended for peaceful purposes, quickly revolutionized warfare and led to centuries of conflict. The development of the printing press, while democratizing access to information, also facilitated the spread of propaganda and misinformation. Are we doomed to repeat these patterns with ever more powerful technologies? The existential threat posed by technology lies in the fact that our capacity to create powerful tools has far outstripped our wisdom and ethical maturity. We are, in effect, children playing with fire, wielding technologies whose potential consequences we barely understand. Climate change, driven by our reliance on fossil fuels, is already causing significant harm to the planet and threatens to destabilize human societies. The existence of thousands of nuclear weapons, poised for use at a moment's notice, represents a constant and terrifying sword of Damocles hanging over our heads. And the rapid development of artificial intelligence, with its potential to surpass human intelligence, raises profound questions about the future of our species. Will AI become a tool for liberation or a force for oppression? Will it help us solve the world's most pressing problems or exacerbate them? Can we overcome our tendency to prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability? These are the questions that must be confronted if we are to navigate the technological landscape responsibly and avoid self-destruction. Integrating these patterns, we arrive at a critical juncture. The choices we make today will determine whether we succumb to the self-destructive potential of technology or transcend it. The stakes are nothing less than the survival of our species and the future of life on Earth. Can humanity find a way to harness technology for good, to create a world where innovation serves the common good and promotes human flourishing? Or will we continue down a path of reckless innovation, driven by greed and short-sightedness, ultimately leading to our own annihilation? The answer, as always, lies within ourselves. The path forward requires a fundamental shift in consciousness, a recognition of our interconnectedness, and a commitment to ethical action. This means embracing shadow work and coming to terms with the destructive potentials that exist within ourselves and in our technologies. This also requires that we assume responsibility for the consequences of our actions and strive to create a world where technology serves humanity, rather than the other way around. Assuming we are able to overcome the great filter and avoid destroying ourselves with technology, there is still the issue of ethics to contend with. Can we ensure that these technologies operate within an ethical framework? The biases embedded in artificial intelligence systems are a particularly concerning example of this. AI algorithms are trained on data, and if that data reflects existing societal prejudices, the AI will inevitably perpetuate and even amplify those biases. Facial recognition software, for instance, has been shown to be less accurate in identifying people of color, leading to misidentification and potential discrimination. Our iPod hearing tools have been found to discriminate against women, reinforcing gender inequalities in the workplace. And algorithms used to determine loan applications have been shown to discriminate against minority groups, perpetuating economic disparities. These biases are not merely technical glitches. They are reflections of the systemic inequalities that exist in our society. If the data is biased, then the AI will only replicate it. The integration of woke, or anti-woke, biases into AI systems is a particularly contentious issue. Woke biases, aimed at promoting social justice and inclusivity, can lead to accusations of reverse discrimination or ideological indoctrination. Conversely, anti-woke biases, aimed at upholding traditional values or resisting progressive agendas, can reinforce existing inequalities and perpetuate harmful stereotypes. The challenge lies in creating AI systems that are fair, impartial, and respectful of diverse perspectives. Addressing these challenges requires a commitment to transparency, accountability, and explainability in the design and deployment of AI systems. Algorithmic accountability means holding developers and organizations responsible for the impacts of their AI systems, particularly when those systems cause harm or perpetuate discrimination. Explainability, the ability to understand how an AI system arrives at a particular decision, is essential for identifying and correcting biases. Black box algorithms, complex machine learning models whose inner workings are opaque and difficult to understand, pose a significant challenge to explainability. One step towards transparency would be open sourcing the algorithms. Showing what transparency looks like in practice is a complex undertaking. It involves not only making the code and data accessible, but also providing clear explanations of the assumptions, limitations, and potential biases of the AI system. It requires ongoing monitoring and auditing to ensure that the AI is functioning as intended and is not causing unintended harm. And it necessitates a willingness to engage in public dialogue and debate about the ethical implications of AI. To ensure that AI is aligned with human values and goals, it is essential to develop ethical frameworks that guide its development and deployment. Fairness, justice, autonomy, and beneficence are some of the key principles that should inform the design of AI systems. Fairness requires that AI systems treat all individuals and groups equitably, without discrimination or bias. Justice requires that AI systems are used to promote social good and address inequalities. Autonomy requires that individuals have control over their own data and are not subjected to manipulation or coercion by AI systems. And beneficence requires that AI systems are designed to maximize benefits and minimize harms. These frameworks may face cultural challenges. Different cultures may align or conflict with these ethical frameworks. For example, some cultures may prioritize collective well-being over individual autonomy, while others may place a greater emphasis on tradition and hierarchy. It is crucial to engage in cross-cultural dialogue and collaboration to develop ethical frameworks that are universally acceptable and applicable. Looking ahead, the future of AI depends on our ability to create ethical frameworks, promote transparency, and reclaim our role as creators. Technology being an extension of humanity, ethical AI must reflect our highest aspirations and values. It must be designed to promote human flourishing, to address global challenges, and to create a more just and equitable world. This requires a fundamental shift in perspective, from viewing AI as a tool for profit and power to viewing it as a tool for good. It requires a commitment to education, research, and public engagement to ensure that AI is developed and deployed responsibly. And it requires a willingness to challenge the status quo and to demand that technology serves humanity rather than the other way around. But even if we manage to ensure ethical technology, what will we do with ourselves? As the digital world increasingly envelops our lives, how can we cultivate inner sanctuary, a space of mental fortitude and resilience to navigate the constant stimulation and demands of the digital age? How can we build a strong mental fortress to ward off outside influences? The constant stimulation of the digital world can lead to sensory overload, cognitive fatigue, and a diminished capacity for attention and focus. The barrage of notifications, emails, and social media updates can overwhelm our senses and leave us feeling scattered and depleted. Neurologically, this overstimulation can disrupt the delicate balance of neurotransmitters in the brain, leading to anxiety, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. Psychologically, it can erode our sense of self-control and make us more vulnerable to manipulation. Constant multitasking, a common feature of digital life, has been shown to reduce cognitive performance and impair our ability to think deeply and creatively. The constant connectivity of the digital world can also lead to a sense of being always on, blurring the boundaries between work and personal life and making it difficult to disconnect and recharge. This chronic stress can have long-term consequences for our mental and physical health. In response to this overstimulation, the practices of mindfulness and meditation offer powerful tools for cultivating inner peace, resilience, and a greater sense of self-awareness. Mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment, allows us to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. Meditation, a practice that involves focusing the mind on a single point of reference, such as the breath or a mantra, helps us to calm the mind and cultivate inner stillness. These practices can reduce stress, improve focus, enhance emotional regulation, and promote a sense of well-being. A beginner can get started by finding a quiet space, setting aside a few minutes each day, and simply focusing on their breath. There are also numerous apps and online resources that provide guided meditations and mindfulness exercises. The key is to be patient, persistent, and compassionate with oneself. Reiterating the importance of solitude, this allows us to reconnect with ourselves, cultivate inner guidance, and find respite from the demands of the digital world. Solitude, unlike loneliness, is a chosen state of being alone, a deliberate withdrawal from external stimuli and social interactions. Psychologically, solitude provides an opportunity for self-reflection, introspection, and creative exploration. It allows us to process our experiences, to clarify our values, and to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. It can also enhance our emotional regulation, allowing us to manage stress and cope with difficult emotions. Solitude is different from loneliness in that it is a positive and enriching experience, while loneliness is a negative and isolating one. Solitude is a choice, while loneliness is often imposed upon us. And solitude is characterized by a sense of peace and contentment, while loneliness is characterized by a sense of sadness and emptiness. Linking this back to previous themes of authenticity, inner work, and embodied experience, cultivating an inner sanctuary is essential for finding strength and meaning in a chaotic and ever-changing world. It provides us with a foundation of inner stability, allowing us to navigate the challenges of life with greater resilience and grace. It helps us to connect with our authentic selves, to clarify our values, and to live in alignment with our purpose. And it enables us to find beauty and wonder in the everyday, even in the midst of a digital storm. It allows one to build a strong mental fortress to ward off outside influences. In essence, it is a return to oneself. But even if we are grounded and centered, can we overcome the seemingly irreconcilable differences in the world? Can we unify, challenging the tendency to see the world in terms of simple binary oppositions? Good versus evil, right versus wrong, us versus them. Reality is far more interconnected and complex. Technology, paradoxically, can contribute to this illusion of opposites by creating echo chambers, online communities where individuals are primarily exposed to information and perspectives that reinforce their existing beliefs. This can lead to polarization, the widening of ideological divides, and a decreased capacity for empathy and understanding. For example, a person who primarily consumes news from a left-leaning source may become increasingly convinced that all conservatives are evil and vice versa. This may also appear in highly contentious political issues, such as abortion. Rather than seeing the issue with nuance, people view the other side as monsters. In the end, these echo chambers can lead to societal fragmentation and a diminished capacity for constructive dialogue. Emphasizing the importance of embracing paradox, holding multiple perspectives, and tolerating ambiguity, these are essential skills for navigating a complex and uncertain world. Embracing paradox means accepting that seemingly contradictory ideas can both be true. Holding multiple perspectives means being willing to see things from different points of view, even those that challenge our own beliefs. And tolerating ambiguity means being comfortable with uncertainty and resisting the urge to simplify complex issues. Technology can be used to promote empathy, understanding, and dialogue across divides. Online platforms can connect people from different backgrounds and cultures, fostering cross-cultural understanding and collaboration. Social media can be used to share stories and perspectives that challenge stereotypes and promote empathy, and online forums can provide spaces for constructive dialogue and debate. However, it is important to be mindful of the potential for echo chambers and to actively seek out diverse perspectives. It is hard to know whether true empathy can exist online. Can we feel the pain that another person feels through a screen? Can we see past our biases to understand the complexities of their situation? The answer is not always clear, but the effort to cultivate empathy is essential for creating a more just and compassionate world. Arguing that transcending the ego and cultivating humility, compassion, and universal love are essential for creating a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world, technology can be used to promote these values. Online communities can provide spaces for connection, support, and mutual aid. Charitable giving platforms can facilitate the flow of resources to those in need. Global social movements can mobilize people around common causes, such as climate change, social justice, and human rights. What would that type of online community look like? It would be characterized by respect, empathy, and a commitment to constructive dialogue. It would prioritize the well-being of all members and foster a sense of belonging. And it would be guided by a shared vision of a more just and equitable world, presenting viewers with a clear choice. Will we allow technology to divide us, or will we use it to unite us and create a more compassionate and just world? We stand at a fork in the road, a moment of decision that will shape the future of our species. The path of division leads to fragmentation, polarization, and ultimately, self-destruction. The path of unity leads to connection, collaboration, and the possibility of a more flourishing future for all. Which path will you choose? As we've journeyed through the labyrinth of the digital age, several critical themes have emerged. We've explored the illusion of connection, where the promise of global interconnectedness masks a deeper sense of isolation. The erosion of identity, as we navigate curated personas and the ever-present pressure of online performance. The algorithmic cage, where our choices are subtly guided by unseen forces. The creeping spiritual crisis, as the relentless pursuit of digital validation leaves us yearning for something more profound. And finally, the potential for collective action, the hope that we can reclaim our agency and shape a more humane digital future. Each of these themes underscores a central tension, the potential of technology to both liberate and enslave us. We are capable of reclaiming mindfulness, making critical evaluations of all information, taking up ethical consumption, and working to build community. What course of action will we take? We now stand at a fork in the road, a pivotal moment where the future of technology, and indeed humanity, hangs in the balance. One path leads to a dystopian future, where technology reigns supreme and human autonomy is diminished. The other leads to a utopian future, where technology serves humanity, and our potential for growth and connection is amplified. The choice between these futures is not a passive one. It is a choice we make every day through our actions, our decisions, and our engagement with the digital world. Every click, every share, every post is a vote for the kind of future we want to create. Each action has consequences, and inaction has consequences as well. We are not merely passive observers. We are active participants in shaping the world around us. The power of individual choice cannot be overstated. While the challenges we face may seem overwhelming, it is crucial to remember that every single decision we make has a ripple effect. Choosing to disconnect from the digital world for a few hours each day can create space for self-reflection and connection with loved ones. Supporting ethical companies and advocating for responsible technology policies can help to create a more just and sustainable digital economy. Engaging in critical thinking and questioning the narratives we are presented with can help to break free from the algorithmic cage. Cultivating mindfulness and seeking out authentic experiences can help us to reconnect with our inner selves and find meaning beyond the digital realm. These tools are available to everyone in everyday life. The only thing that is required to use them is action. What future will we choose? Consider, for a moment, a world consumed by the algorithmic panopticon, a future where every aspect of our lives is monitored, measured, and manipulated by unseen algorithms. In this dystopian scenario, privacy is a relic of the past, dissent is swiftly suppressed, and individuality is erased in favor of conformity. Imagine facial recognition technology tracking our every move, our online activity meticulously analyzed to predict our behavior, and our social credit score dictating our access to essential services. In this world, humans become mere cogs in the machine, their thoughts and actions shaped by the invisible hand of technology, their lives devoid of meaning and purpose. The psychological consequences of this loss of autonomy are devastating. Anxiety, depression, and a profound sense of alienation become the norm. Social connections are weakened as communities are fragmented. This is a future to avoid. Now, consider an alternative, a symbiotic web, a utopian future where technology empowers and uplifts us. Decentralized networks ensure that no single entity controls the flow of information. Open-source software fosters collaboration and innovation, and AI assistants augment human capabilities, freeing us from mundane tasks and allowing us to focus on creative pursuits. In this world, technology enhances our freedom of expression, protects our privacy, and promotes empathy and understanding. Humans are empowered to use technology as a tool for self-expression, creativity, and connection, their lives enriched by access to knowledge, opportunities, and meaningful relationships. The psychological benefits of this increased agency are profound. Greater self-esteem, a sense of purpose, and a feeling of control over one's life. Empathy and global support is possible in this future. This is a vision to aspire to. The question that remains is a starkly personal one. Which path will you choose? The path of dystopia, where technology dominates and dehumanizes us, or the path of utopia, where technology empowers and uplifts us? This is the question we must all ask ourselves, for the future of technology, and indeed the future of humanity, depends on the choices we make today. You must take responsibility and shape the future. I urge you to take responsibility for shaping the future and to make conscious choices that align with your values and goals. Use the knowledge and tools you have gained throughout this exploration to create a more ethical, human-centered, and sustainable digital world. Advocate for responsible technology policies, support ethical companies, and engage in critical thinking to challenge the narratives you are presented with. Cultivate mindfulness, seek out authentic experiences, and connect with others in meaningful ways. Remember, the future is not yet written, and we have the power to create a better world. Even small actions can make a difference, and together we can shape a future where technology serves humanity rather than the other way around. Thank you for taking the time to accompany me on this journey. I invite you to continue exploring these themes, to share your insights and experiences with others, and to join the growing movement of people who are committed to creating a more positive and meaningful digital world. The first step to change is being aware. I encourage you to like this video, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The conversation must continue.